countdown. Look at that. The new countdown ticker on StreamYard. Hey, thanks for StreamYard, guys, for implementing that.
Yeah.
Welcome, Russ. How are you doing today?
I'm having a wonderful Wednesday, Brenda. I'm excited to be here and hang out with another LinkedIn rock star that is shining in the community. So
yeah, well, it's
having me.
Yeah, I know, it's a pleasure, and it's a little bit of a reversal here. So I think the first time you and I actually talked on camera, I was sitting in your hot seat, if you will. You know, the pirate broadcast. You were interviewing me. And I don't think I even had a show at the time. I think I was still, applying for LinkedIn Live or something. But I've really been admiring you, what you've been doing with the pirate broadcast. So it's kind of fun to turn the tables a little bit today and, take
well,
that.
If I start interviewing you, you'll know why.
That's like one of the risks you take when you bring someone on your show who is an experienced podcaster or host themselves. But what I'd like to do before we get the conversation started is I want to welcome anybody who's watching us here on LinkedIn Live, if you're watching on Facebook Live, and I want to encourage you to please leave a comment below, because we can't see who you are until you leave a comment. So you could just put something as quick as hello, hi. I kind of like to know, where in the world are you watching from? Now, I'm in Metro Detroit, working out of my home office. Russ, you are in where? Is it California? Am I remembering correctly?
Arizona. I'm in the Phoenix market. I'm in the Phoenix market where it's hot, but it's a dry heat.
It's a dry heat, right? How's the weather been there lately? Has it been like summer hot, or is it mild right now, or what's going on out in your area?
It's been pretty good. It's been a little hot a couple of days. 110, 118 that area.
So is that even like, how do you function? Can you go outside and go for a walk, or in the 118 days, are you just like hunkering inside with the air conditioning?
A lot of people are out taking walks at 5 a.m. or so, or like even at night in the afternoon, late afternoon, evening, it's still pretty warm. Okay. So early mornings are good, because it is a desert and it does cool off at night. So
that's true. Yeah. Well, my husband loves Arizona, and in Michigan, our winters get so brutal. I've heard like Michigan winters are kind of like Arizona summers, and there'll be a time every year around February. I don't know if he's watching right now, but around February, he'll start complaining about Michigan's weather, and he'll start like looking up houses in Arizona. I'm like, we've never even been to Arizona. Like, we don't know anybody who lives there. We have no friends there. And he'll start looking up. I'm like, this is just because of the cold. Your brain is a little bit frozen, as well as your fingers and toes right now. We'll get through this. But now I can say I have a friend who lives in Arizona. So if we go to visit, we'll look up Russ.
People so you can welcome anytime. So
that's awesome. Down. Well, I'm very, very excited. And this is kind of my show. I call this Social Media Pie, where I invite inspiring people to inform and educate you. And when I invited Russ on the show, guys, I said, what do you want to talk about? And Russ said, let's talk about converting your adversity into fuel for a more productive future. And then I know you have a couple hashtags. One is kindness is cool. The other one is smiles are free. Am I remembering?
Yep.
There you go. That's the power of a tagline, right? So before we jump into that conversation, Russ, why don't you take a few minutes, tell us a little bit about who you are, for people maybe who haven't seen your show yet, a little bit about that as well, and then we'll jump in.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Brenda. I am the host of the Pirate Broadcast. The Pirate Broadcast has had over 200 episodes.
Wow.
And I created the Pirate Broadcast specifically to highlight people like Brenda and others that are inspiring around the community. Gabriel here is two wonderful people. He says that love Russ Johnson, Brenda Meller. And Gabriel actually started a show as well. He's been doing the Made from Scratch broadcast in the evening. Okay. So he has a show at 7 p.m. Central Time, 5 days a week. He's taken August off. However, the whole purpose was to test out this strategy and the workflow that's required to build a show and keep it consistent. And now I launched the Pirate Syndicate to handle the technology behind the broadcast. So if you're overwhelmed by the technology and the process, there's somebody that can help you work through that and get you set up and produce your show for you.
So tell us, I mean, I know the answer to this, but the people are watching pirate broadcast. What does that mean? Are you having people walk the plank, or what does pirate mean in the mix of things?
Well, I started in advertising in 1987, and I was in radio, television, and outdoor advertising. I also worked for the Seattle Sonics for a while, and did a lot of marketing and media and technology. And one of the FCC in the radio business is if you do not have a license to broadcast and you broadcast, you're considered a pirate broadcaster.
Ah, okay.
So the whole spin on that pirate broadcast is that what I've been teaching for the last 5-10 years is you are the media. You can pick up your phone, you can produce content. And as you know, social media is a platform. There are many platforms that you can actually broadcast your message, share your gifts, highlight other people, and bring these inspiring messages to the community. And so the pirate broadcast was brought about when I didn't have LinkedIn Live. So I would stream to YouTube and then upload it to LinkedIn as if it were a LinkedIn Live.
Oh, really? Like as an organic video, would you share the YouTube link? So it was like a playback? Okay, gotcha. All right. So you got the workaround, right? Yeah. And you said you have 200 shows. So, I mean, I remember when you interviewed me at the time, I think you were interviewing like 4 or 5 people a week. Are you still keeping up with that cadence?
Yeah, 5 days a week.
That's great.
Yeah. Weekdays at 7 a.m. Arizona time.
7 a.m. Arizona time, which is, I believe, Mountain Time, right?
So currently, because Arizona does not participate in daylight savings, it's Pacific time.
Pacific time. So what time is it there right now? Is it 9 a.m.?
It's 9 a.m.
Oh, okay. So I was aware there was a time zone fluctuation someplace in the middle with daylight. And I am always like, and we're in the Eastern time zone here in Metro Detroit. And sometimes people will say, is it EST, EDT? And I'm like, I don't know. Isn't it the same thing? Like it's Eastern time because whatever we practice, it's the time zone that we're in. But we're in daylight time zone right now. So I know when you interviewed me, like it's 7 a.m. your time, and I'm like, wow, you're getting up at the crack of dawn, to get ready for your guests. But a lot of people that you're interviewing, do they tend to be on kind of East Coast, or are you pulling people from all over the nation?
I've had people from all over the world. Australia is the most challenging in Asia because it's in the middle of the night for them.
Yeah.
However, I haven't really had any major challenges with time difference except with Australia.
Yeah.
And but I connect people with all time zones. So
yeah, that's awesome. So the pirate broadcast, is that your is that your primary business? So what's your primary business? What do you do?
Well, my primary business, I do virtual marketing management, and I do I have clients that are all of my clients right now, Brenda, are based specifically on relationships.
Okay.
I produce shows for other people. I develop websites for people, and I also run marketing for other organizations that are on retainer.
Okay.
So it's a kind of diverse. I've developed it over the years to be able to be a remote worker for the last decade or so. And it's really about the idea of we have an opportunity to design our life where vacations aren't necessary.
Right.
And that's kind of my philosophy after being in corporate world and spending 25 years in companies that no longer exist and getting, that little slip of paper saying, you're no longer needed here.
Right.
It's like,
well, now it's not even a slip of paper, Russ. I was talking to a friend last week and they did a round of layoffs at her company due to COVID, of course, but it was a Zoom call, like through Zoom. Like there's a meeting set up with the HR person and the person's boss, and this is how they're letting people go because they're not, even meeting in person right now. Wow, has the world changed, right? So many things have changed. But so I pulled up your website. This is where we could learn more about your services and also about the pirate broadcast. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I all of the pirate broadcasts after the show, I produce a podcast as well. So you can subscribe to YouTube. You can subscribe to the podcast on multiple platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, all of those platforms. And then also, if you want assistance or need assistance, right now I'm working with a couple of startup companies that are emerging. So that's taken a lot of my bandwidth right now. So
yeah.
And the show is an example of the Pirate Broadcast is actually the testing grounds for the Pirate Syndicate. And the Pirate Syndicate is the platform that I'm growing to broadcast and produce shows for other people. So
awesome. That's very cool. Well, I'll definitely be looking that up and interested in learning more. And I encourage others to do the same as well. So it's been a little while. How are you faring? I like to kind of start with, it's COVID, it's crazy times. We've kind of been in this for 4 or 5 months now. How are things going for you?
Well, let's talk about adversity.
Yeah.
Father's Day, Dad, passed away.
I'm sorry to hear.
So my dad passed away on Father's Day.
Wow, on Father's Day. Oh.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about remembering Father's Day anymore. And so 91, lived a great life.
Long life, yeah.
We were all here as a family. He was at home. He refused to go to the hospital. It wasn't COVID.
Okay.
It wasn't COVID. He actually took a nasty fall on Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, wow. Okay.
May 5th. And so he declined as a result of that, helped contribute to that. And then we had his memorial service, a little family get together, COVID preparedness.
Change that. Yeah.
And on his birthday, which was the 17th, and my son drove up from Texas, and we went out to take some photographs after the service, and we were driving up in his 4-wheel drive truck way in the outback. And this was in Utah, where I grew up.
Yeah.
And I have, I have some places there that I was taking him and showing him, and then I broke my hip.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I was running down a hill to take some pictures of, and the hill was a little steeper than I was imagining. Yeah. And at the end, at the bottom, there's a little change in the elevation. Oh, and I just launched like Superman and landed hard and ended up, I got up and it's like, the leg does not work.
Didn't feel right. Yeah. Oh, that's scary. So you probably had was that a surgery for that, for the correction for that? Wow.
So Friday was the service. I had surgery on Saturday, and then he drove me back to Arizona so I could get back on Sunday. So
so that was a bit of a weekend for you there. And the unfortunate thing is we're not as young as we used to be, right, Russ? And
no.
When you're running down the hill, you're like, I can do this. And then at one point you're like, oh, wait, maybe I can't.
Wait a second here. Yeah. So I have a bunch of images and things like that. And I wanted to post it because I haven't been as active. I've been active for the show, the Pirate Broadcast. However, because of everything that's been going on, and Mom has her health issues, and my sister's here as well. She works for me and helps produce the shows and work on the business. But she had both her knees replaced.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Before this, and so she's getting back. So now it's like, adversity.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just have to continue to pursue what you love and enjoy, and continue to find the best in what is around you and do what you can with what you have. So,
yeah. And you've always had that positive orientation to you. I think, I don't remember where I originally heard of you. I think your name started popping up, different places, but when I look at people's activity, I always kind of look and see what are they posting, and are they interacting with people, and are they shining the spotlight, or are they kind of selfish on the platform? And you really embodied that of a rock star, people that are really focusing and shining the spotlight on others. And started listening to your broadcast, and it was always like 9 o'clock. I'd be getting ready in the morning, and I was like, oh, I gotta put it up on my phone. And then when I finally did get LinkedIn Live, I never wanted to schedule at the same time because I wanted to watch your show. And then I sometimes would occasionally when people wanted to schedule a little bit earlier. But I've always really admired that about you. And also, the taglines, the catchphrases that you use, kindness is cool. And I want to encourage you guys, if you're watching right now, use that hashtag in the post. Later on, if you share the video, use that hashtag as well. Kindness is cool, smiles are free. And it's a really nice closing that you do, on all of your interviews. So talk to us a little bit about this, converting the adversity into fuel. Is this something you've been doing all your life, or something you've kind of learned and embraced, or tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I've always embraced the philosophy of fuel as a result of adversity. I grew up, I was, second of 6 kids, and we had the house where all the friends came. I practiced music in the basement. We always had somebody going on. And as a result of growing up, I had actually lost 2 sisters growing up.
Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that.
From tragic circumstances. And, just putting a perspective on life, it's like life is short, life is precious, and we have to continue to live it to the fullest in our ability to live. And that's not to say that we don't have challenges, we don't have tragedies, we don't have circumstances that bring us down.
Right.
However, if you think about, okay, I have a choice, I could be either a victim and wallow in my sorrow, or I can actually say, okay, what can I learn from this?
Right.
What can I do as a result of my circumstance? So as a musician in 87, I fell 3 stories off a billboard. I was working for a company in Portland, Oregon. Yeah. And I shattered my arm and my elbow, and I was in rehab, and I had, I got staph infection, and I had all these complications and nearly lost my arm. And
scary.
I was down to 160 pounds, it's like, and it was really life-changing. So as a result of that circumstance, it's like, okay, what do I do now? Well, fortunately, what I did was I came back to the company that I was working for previously as the safety director, and wrote fall protection programs that saved several lives.
Oh,
and that took me into technology, which I became the IT director, which took me into all of these other projects and programs that I was always a self-learner and self-taught and, self-motivated. And it's the fuel of, okay, if I don't like the circumstance I'm in now, I have 2 choices.
Right.
I can either feel sorry for myself or I can change it. And so that adversity was what allowed me to change my circumstance and do something else and move forward with that. So
yeah, I love that orientation, because it's like I'm a big believer, similar kind of concept. Like I feel like energy moves in one direction, and you can either focus on the positive, what you learned from it, and like where do we go from here, or you can focus on the negative, that kind of the woe is me, why did this happen to me, whose fault is it, who am I to blame, and you can focus things negative. That doesn't help you. That doesn't help the situation at all. But do you find yourself, and I ask this question as a fellow kind of inspirational junkie, I like inspirational quotes and things like that, but I find myself sometimes getting sucked into the negativity, and then I have to kind of stop that. Sure. Do you find yourself the same way, or do you feel like you're always positive? I mean, are there certain situations that pull you into that negative space, and then you have to like lift yourself out, or do you always feel like you're kind of that neutral or positive mindset?
My default state is positive. However, there's a lot of things that are going on around us right now that we could be, and it's not negative as much as it is frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a frustration that I feel at times, because I see a lot of people falling into the victim mentality, where they're stating that they don't have the ability or the opportunity, or they can't change because of someone else's, ability or control or something like that. And I'm just thinking to myself, I've seen so many people that have had devastating circumstances in their lives where they could barely, get out of bed, and they've actually turned it around and taken and used that adversity for fuel
Right.
to change their lives. And it's like, when you take control and you take responsibility of your life and your outcome, really there's no limits except what you're willing to put into your own mind.
Right.
And it's like, if you want to be a victim, you know, that's a tragedy that I can't help you with.
Mm-hmm.
And so my default state is to stay positive. I wake up every day with gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
and I, you know, the little things in life that, you know, it's like, hey, my life is not rainbows and unicorns. However, it's pretty good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've developed my life to the point where I'm doing what I love.
Mm-hmm.
I love what I do. And I'm surrounded by people that love me. I love the people around me. And what more can I ask for? You know?
Yeah, but it's a choice that you've made. And I heard you say, you know, through circumstances in your past, I mean, you could have stayed on the career path that you were originally on, but you decided to try something different, and that led to something else. I mean, you know, let's say there's people that are watching right now and they're like, Russ, that sounds great for you, but I do that because this is what I do for a living, and this is what I get paid to do that, and this is my expertise, and I've been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years. What's your advice to those people that are watching right now?
Well, my advice is you know, rather than watching the TV, explore some other activities that you think or consider might be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I've had 4 transitions in my work because I wanted to explore experiences. You know, it's experiences. I've traveled all over the country, you know, as a musician, and I've played in different cities, and I've seen different states, and I've, you know, I've lived in different locations. And is it easy? No, it's not easy. And, you know, I actually relocated several times, and before I even had kids, and actually moved 12 horses one time. You know, it's like,
horses.
If you've ever tried to move horses,
yeah,
I've actually been a farmer as well. I grew lavender and blueberries and organic heirloom potatoes, and started a farmer's market. There's a lot of different dimensions that you can actually achieve in a short period of time if you're willing to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So kill your TV, turn off the media, learn something new, and improve the person that you were yesterday.
Yeah. I think part of it too is like what I heard you say is like, you got to give yourself permission to be happy and to know that it is okay to do something different than, you know, what you think you are supposed to do or what you think society thinks that you are supposed to do. You got to like kind of look inside yourself a little bit there, right? And figure that path out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I spent years working on what I imagined was the American dream, and it actually ended up being, you know, something other than a dream. And so it's like, there are times where you pursue a goal and you pursue something that you think you and imagine and you're told would make you happy. Mm-hmm. And happy is, you're already there. You know, you don't have to be somewhere else to be happy. Mm-hmm. So I encourage you to be happy where you are.
I love it. And I just love the positive mindset. And I think like for me, I try to surround myself with positive people and people who are going to lift me up and support me. Mm-hmm. And I know you're a fan of Shelly Elsliger, if I'm pronouncing her last name. And I still have to post a picture, but I'm going to give her a little bit of a shout out because I got something in the mail from her. And she has, do you have yours on right now? I don't have mine on, but look at this, Shelly. We're gonna give you a shout out because she sent it to me, and she's in Canada and I'm in the US, and she sent it to me and said, hey, did you get it? And she's encouraging people to post a picture, and I haven't done anything with it yet. But when I think of you and Shelly, I think there's this kindness theme, and you know, she's got the decide to be kind, and kindness is cool, but there's this common theme, and people like you and Shelly, you don't really see each other as competitors. You see almost like you amplify each other's efforts, right? You help to build each other up even more, right? Absolutely.
And you can't run out of abundance when it comes to kindness.
Yeah.
You know, it's like smiles. If I give a smile away, I get twice as much, right?
There is a point. Now, how do you address the issue of smiling in a COVID world? Because when you're virtual, we can smile, and
Watch the eyes.
when
Watch
you're
the eyes.
in public, you're like the masks are blocking. I mean, it's like you hear people say, "Smile with your eyes." It's hard to see that. Even
Yeah.
I was at the store the other day, and you pass someone in the aisle, and like in the days pre-COVID, you would smile. Sometimes you won't say hi to people, but you kind of smile as you're passing. Oh, excuse me, and you pass them. And now it's like you give the friendly wave, with as you're moving around, right?
It's not. It's challenging and not impossible. So
Yeah. But I could see you easily smiling with the eyes, right? Do you have any clever masks yet, Russ, with any expressions or sayings or
I
pictures?
don't. I was thinking about that yesterday, and I was thinking I should probably get a smiley mask of some sort.
Right. Something that's a little bit different. I had in the beginning, I had like a black mask, and when I left corporate, I stopped wearing black and gray, and it was just, I kind of shed that. So I got a bright pink mask, which is like, similar to my brand colors. And I was at a funeral service for as an extended family member, and he had a long life, and we were at the funeral home, and everybody has to wear masks, wherever you're going. And I didn't really think about it, but when you go to a funeral, you're wearing black and gray, and I'm wearing this bright pink mask, and I kind of felt like, oh, I probably should have maybe had a different color mask. I don't know. It's weird. It's like the etiquette of things. It feels a little different.
We're in strange times. We're in strange times, and and I feel for those that are less fortunate than I am, and that's why I continue to pursue, putting out something that is positive and hopefully inspiring, and show people a little dimension like yourself. You put out this information, and hopefully it falls on someone that can be encouraged. And it always warms my heart when I get a text message or a direct message that says, "Hey, thank you for the information. I love what you're doing." And it's just, it's just simple and sweet. And it's just like, yes, I'm doing something that's positive and making an impact. So
it's worthwhile. I feel like sometimes too, you and I think are similar too, in that we let our personalities shine through. We're not all stiff and corporate like when we're doing these broadcasts, and we'll sometimes be humorous or, facial expressions or things, we'll be a little bit goofy, if you will. And I was doing a webinar yesterday, and it's like when you're doing a webinar on a Zoom, I usually have people muted so you can't hear their reactions, and you can see a video pane of like 3 people. I'm like, I hope they don't think I'm being too goofy. I was trying to like tell a joke, and you can't see the reactions, and most people are hidden. And there was a woman who was on the webinar, and later in the day, it's a webinar I'm doing for job seekers using LinkedIn. So they're all in career transition, all unemployed. And she sent me a note, and she said, I just want to let you know how much the webinar meant to me. And she's like, you really inspired me, and you lifted my spirits, and I needed that. So thank you so much. And I said, thank you for that feedback, because sometimes I wonder, is this helping people? And the knowledge is good, but is the quirkiness and the funniness, I mean, is it okay? I want to make sure I'm being appropriate, but I'm like, I'm so glad to hear that you felt inspired with that message. It's an important thing. Yeah. So what I'd like to do,
it's hard to read people. It's hard to read people sometimes, and
and
a lot of people don't comment. They don't say anything. They're just watching.
They're in there. Yeah. And that's why I like to say comment. When you're watching a live video like you are right now, comment, let us know, is this reaching you? Is this resonating with you? What I'd like to do now is actually, we're going to kind of change gears a little bit, and we're going to start to bring the audience into the conversation. And we have folks from LinkedIn that are watching right now. We have folks on Facebook Live that are watching right now. I did see one question come in from Gabriel, and I'm going to pop it up on screen. And Russ, I'm going to ask you to help to answer this question. How did you learn how to live stream?
How did I learn how to live stream? My live streaming adventure started back when I was living in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And I was broadcasting and live streaming high school varsity sports to the radio station. And at that point in time, bandwidth was an issue with video. However, we were actually, I was hiring college broadcasters, journalists, to call the games at the high school games, because Tech likes their sports, and then streaming that to the radio station, and then rebroadcasting that on AM radio.
Okay.
So that whole process of, routing data streams, video, audio, into a different platform. And I was using a podcasting platform called Spreaker, which is still available, and it's one I use all the time because it has a live element to it, so you can broadcast live.
Okay.
And then in the studio, I would bring that up on a computer and then restream it out to the radio station. And it was like, and that's what got me really excited about this live streaming and the broadcasting and everything else. And I used to teach classes on it all. I've taught classes for the last 7 years on it. So
okay. So talk about when you first started to stream live on LinkedIn. What did you change about, or how did you kind of learn through that process? What have you changed since you started kind of live streaming there?
Well, when native LinkedIn video became available, I used to shoot it on my phone, which was the only way you could really get it into LinkedIn. Okay. And I was doing at that time what I called 2-minute tips in 10 minutes or less.
Okay.
And when it first started, I would shoot it in landscape mode where my phone was turned sideways, and it would always come up in upside down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the early days, you had to shoot it vertical, otherwise the video was upside down.
That's odd. Yeah.
It's like, this is early days. Yeah. And so as a result of doing that, and I did, I don't know, a lot of episodes of the 2-minute tips, and it's out on my YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch. And it was like at the end of the day, Brenda, I would just think of the day, and I would think of a quote or something that inspired me that day, and I just talk about it. I just riff on it, and it would be either 2 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever time it was.
Yeah.
And then people would wake up, and I still get questions. I still get people ask me, when are you going to do 2-minute tips again? And it's like,
is it a playlist on your YouTube channel, or is it just on your YouTube channel?
I don't think I've created it as a playlist yet. I should create it as a playlist.
I'm going to try. I did. You do have a playlist on there. Look at that. Hashtag 2-minute tips. So I'm going to actually drop this in on LinkedIn right now, because if I put it in the comments, it's kind of like one of those ugly links that you can't really do anything with. Yeah. But I'll put it in the stream right now. So that's pretty cool. So you started with the 2-minute tips, and then did you start to do the interviewing, or did you kind of do a blend of everything, or how did you start to do the interview?
Yeah, then the 2-minute tips. Then I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something live on a regular basis, like a broadcast, because I had the Pirate Syndicate in the back of my head that I wanted to help other people broadcast, because I taught podcasting. And I, taught at Podcast Movement, and I taught at journalism school at the university, and all of these places. And it's like, there's something else around the corner. And I knew that video was coming on board, and things were lighting up. And it's like, how can we put this together? And I was using Ecamm Live. However, it was, the bandwidth in Ecamm, I was starting to get a little bit of hesitation, and then I upgraded my computer, and then StreamYard launched. And I used to be pretty active on a platform that was available years ago. I don't know how long it's been. It was Blab.
Oh, yeah, Blab.
Remember Blab?
Is it still around, or?
No, they shut it down. It's like, oh. So that was another episode in the live streaming community that, was like really, really there. And then I met the founders of Crowdcast. They have crowdcast.io, which is another platform for webinars and doing some webinars. However, I always came back to the live streaming video because I like the interview style. And I'm always curious about what people do and how they got there, and, how they evolved. And much like yourself, it's nice to be able to just fire it up. And I didn't like the process of editing. So being a vlogger was not really my thing.
Yeah.
And coming back and editing everything was like, nah, it's not really my jam. However,
so when you go live on StreamYard, Russ, or how many platforms are you live broadcasting to?
2 Facebook pages.
Okay.
YouTube.
Okay.
LinkedIn and Periscope.
So you've got kind of there's like the free version of StreamYard that you can like broadcast, I think, to one network with the branding. And then when you upgrade to the next level up, that's the one I have. I don't know if it's $24 or $40 a month or something. It's pretty cheap. That's the version I have, and I can go to 2 networks. So I right now I'm going to
you
LinkedIn.
You can go to 3 networks now.
Can you with that version?
They upgraded. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. So I'm going to probably push it on YouTube live at the same time. Do you think that's the best next network to go on? If you're on, I'm a heavy user on LinkedIn, and my next largest community is probably Facebook, but I'm always putting the videos on YouTube. I usually put a cover graphic and some other stuff on them later, but do you think that's the best next network to go on if I were to add a third?
Yes. In fact, I was talking to Gabriel last night, and we were talking about this, and the advantage of doing it on, and you know this as a result of being on LinkedIn, YouTube's great because it gives you a link that you can share out to your network, your community. Right. Mm-hmm. And LinkedIn hasn't quite adopted that philosophy yet. So people say, well, how do I get notified, and how do I find you on LinkedIn? Because sometimes my LinkedIn notifications, unless you're on LinkedIn and you're watching for it and you know what time it is, you
don't get the notification. And I had that happen last week where they didn't push out a notification. I was getting like no comments. It was Keisha Kent's interview, and I looked and comment. I'm like, this is really weird. And I said, if you're watching, comment. And Facebook people were commenting, and nobody was on LinkedIn. And then I actually contacted LinkedIn help on Twitter later in the day, because that's how you get help on LinkedIn. You go to Twitter. I don't know why. And they responded, within a couple of hours, and they acknowledged. They said, yeah, we did have an issue with live notifications. Sorry about that. It's all fixed. And I said, well, it would have been helpful to know before, if it was something in progress. But I said, but good to know. I'll bring Keisha back. We'll do another video later. But some notifications don't always work. But you got to kind of figure your way around the issue, right?
Well, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, we're just in the early stages of what we're doing, and now you look around, even on media, the medias that are, traditional they're doing the same thing we are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Brenda, we're like doing the same thing. I mean, it's like you have the look and the feel, you have your branding in place, you got your colors, you got the transitions.
I can talk about whatever we want to talk about, and we don't have to get in front of a producer and get approvals. And, I don't know about you, I've had a couple people approach me that say, we want to pay you to be on your LinkedIn Live, or, my LinkedIn Rockstar list, they'll say, I want to buy my way into it. And I say, that's not how I work. And that's not how this works either. It's not.
Yeah. That's not how it works.
I mean, you can, I'm sure there are people out there doing it. I don't know of anybody personally, but it crosses the line and the threshold of where my morals and values are, because I hand select the people that I bring on my show, and I pick the people that I think align with my messages and what I'm trying to do with my community. And I'm sure you do as well, right, Russ, when you're picking people on the show. And you do a lot of, because I've seen you when, and I follow a little bit of your format. I've learned so much from you. And one was after the interview, I think I got a note from you, and you said, who else would be good on my show? What are names of other people? Yeah. And I think I gave you, I don't remember, Terry Bean, and I've dropped a couple other names.
I've had a ton of people that are on your list. Your Rockstar list is was a great landing page for guests. Yeah. And they've always been so, I mean, not everyone, has been on. However, I had Terry Bean on. Actually, he's been a 2-time guest.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so many others. It's just been phenomenal. And I like the diversity of subjects, a lot of people in the community, like this morning I had Marissa from a winery,
I saw that. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to listen. I'm going to listen to that later, but that's awesome. She was from a winery. Yeah. Where was she from? Was she in the US or?
Ohio.
Okay. That's great.
And I met her on LinkedIn as well. So
yeah, it's like people you
yes, right now from LinkedIn. So
yeah. So someone said, I don't know who this is. It says LinkedIn user, so we can't see who you are. So you probably have your privacy settings set up in a way that it's not completely public. If you don't know how to fix it, message me after the live broadcast and I can help you with it. But someone said I was on LinkedIn, but no notification today. So I'm curious what happened there. Somebody if they went to my profile because they knew you were going to be on the show, or if because other people were commenting that you saw it. It's not perfect though, but it's good that we're having this conversation to kind of we're learning from each other.
Yeah.
And here Darren says, I'm here by chance because I happened to check my LinkedIn notifications just as you started. So because sometimes, Russ, you probably know, you get the notification in a pop-up, and I'll have like the LinkedIn live notifications come on my phone. So it'll say Russ Johns is going live with Pirate Bra, and like whatever the title is, it'll pop up. But if I don't watch on my phone, I miss it. But it sounds like Darren went into his desktop and he probably looked under the bell notifications to get that. So
I mean, it's only up for what, 3 seconds?
It's like, it's kind of like if you miss it, then you have to look back, right, and figure that out. Yeah. So someone had another question for you. This was from Craig, is asking, when were you broadcasting in Houston?
I was in Houston from 2010 to 2018. Okay. And I actually broadcasted the Sugarland Skeeters. Mm-hmm. I broadcasted most of some of the sports around there, and I was running K-Breeze Radio, so I was managing the station down there. So 1420, I think it was. So
okay,
but cool. Yeah. I was building communities in Houston as well. So
yeah, it sounds like you've been all over. How did you choose Arizona? When did you land there, and what was it that prompted you guys to stay there?
Mom and Dad were getting older, and rather than look at a retirement community or assisted living, my sister and I decided to move here and support them. So
that's great. It's good to have family around helping out. Yeah.
And my sons said, hey, Dad, if you don't do it, you'll regret it. So go do it.
That's awesome.
I still have a son in Houston as well. So
okay, but you got someone to visit when you go out to Houston too. That's great.
Yeah. Right. And I still have business out there, so it's good to be. I still have clients out in Houston now. So
you in that area too? Yeah, good. Yeah. Well, we've had a lot of really great conversation, and Olivia, you've been very active on the board. I want to say hi to Olivia. Thank you so much for watching, and she's enjoyed both the Rockstar List and the Pirate Community. So there is definitely some overlap there, with folks that we both are shining the spotlight on. As we start to kind of we're actually getting towards the end of our time together here, Russ. What I'd like to do though is I'm going to pop up your LinkedIn URL up on screen here, and I'm also going to add in I'm going to share the screen as well for those folks that are watching. Now, Russ, are you open to accepting invitations from people on LinkedIn, or what is your personal philosophy there?
I'm an open connector. I accept invitations, and I encourage you not to pitch me the first second you connect.
What do you do with those? Do you respond, or do you ignore them, or do you?
I just ignore them.
Yeah. And I see that you've got the little sound notification next to your name. Russ John seems like it's pretty straightforward to me. So if I were to click on that right now, what's the message? What are you saying in that?
It's host of the Pirate broadcast and creator of the Pirate Syndicate. So.
Okay, so you're losing it as like more of like a promotional.
Absolutely.
I love it. That is great. So you guys go to Russ's profile, and you have your URL is Next Step Next. I was going to ask you about that too. Why that? Why not just /Russ Johns on there?
Well, years ago when I was in 2002. Was when one of my corporate careers ended, when the company I was working for was acquired, and that started a long. It's another story for another episode, but it started a journey, and my whole mindset was, what's next? What's the next step I'm going to take, and next step next. So it was what's the next step I'm going to take. And I started a company, which I still have. It's my first marketing company. My first media web development company was Next Step Next. and that was the URL I used because Russ Johns. There's already a Russ Johns that had the URL,
Oh, there
and
you go.
so it's like, okay, so I'll use that, and I've just kind of kept it through the whole process, and so next is still out there, and I still do.
So live it part of your personal brand, and it all kind of ties together, you guys. I mean, are you paying attention to this? I mean, we've got this inspirational focus. You know, the topic that we were talking about here today, I'm going to pop it back up on screen as we start to wrap here, is converting your adversity into fuel for a more productive future. I mean, that next step is the same thing. It's whatever happened, you know, next, you got to like, what's next? You got to kind of you're always focusing forward. And you've always got this nice, positive, inspirational bent to everything that you do. But I love how you have consistency with your brand, with your personality, with all the things that you're doing, Russ. I really commend you on that.
Well, I appreciate that, and gratitude for what you're doing and having me on. And I'm humbled to be a guest and contribute to the community anyway.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Well, as we start to wrap the conversation here today, Russ, anything else you'd like to share with us today? Shout outs, anything you're working on right now that you want to promote, or upcoming guests on your show, anything you'd like to talk about before we wrap here?
Anything. Here's one of the things that I'm pursuing. I've never been as much of a self-promoter or promoting some of the things that I do as much as I could or should. And I know that the best way to achieve results is to talk to more people about what you're doing. Yeah. And so I want to share the fact that I'm doing the Pirate Syndicate, and I'm assisting people develop their live shows and helping others, you know, with their media, getting it out there, and you don't have to be overwhelmed by the technology. It's not about the technology. It's about your story. Mm-hmm. It's about what you have to share, and you have a gift, you have a message, and you are the media. So there's somebody out there that needs to hear your message. And I encourage everyone to develop a way that you can share what you're doing, so we don't leave this planet without sharing that information.
I love it. That's a great philosophy there, and a nice inspirational ending to our discussion here today, Russ. It has been a delight chatting with you again on video. I look forward to the day when we can meet in person, Russ, and maybe share a cup of coffee. I saw your coffee banner and your header on there. You know, I love coffee myself too. So hopefully we'll have that chance to do so once this COVID thing lifts and maybe travel happens again around the world here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's been a delight. And Brenda, it's always a pleasure to connect and hang out with you.
Oh, likewise. Well, if I can help you in any way, Russ, we'll definitely, stay in touch here and keep connected. So thank you, sir. So as we wrap here today, guys, I want to remind you, definitely look up Russ. I'm going to throw his LinkedIn URL up on screen here again. Go to his website, russjohns.com, where you can learn more about all the great work he's doing on the pirate broadcast and his service and his syndication services as well. And then I do want to invite you, after you are done watching the video here today, I'm actually going to pop this off of here. Please share this video, because there may be somebody in your network who can benefit from the inspiration that was shared here today, the resources that Russ shared with you, and they can learn more about, his series and what they're doing as well. And then I would also encourage you to go to mellermarketing.com/subscribe and join my VIP email list, where you'll get notification of future LinkedIn Live interviews and learn more about the work that we're doing here at Meller Marketing. All right, Russ, my friend. So what's next for you today after you're done with the interview? You're early in the morning at the beginning of your day. So what's on the agenda for you?
I still got a bunch of work to do. I got a couple of, I got a startup out of Toronto that I'm helping out with, doing some, and I got to add, I'm adding language to a website. So it's an international website. So I got to work through that. And I got some projects that I'm working on, and just a laundry list of things that need to be completed. So.
Busy day. I imagine you're the type of person that's always filling your time too. I don't see you sitting on the couch watching too much TV.
I have not owned a television since '95.
Well, that makes sense, right? Good for you. That's great. Yeah. Well, good. Well, thank you for making some time for this today. Again, Russ, it was really a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Take care.
Right. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you online. Take care.
Bye.